Thursday. Had an amazing thunderstorm this morning. I got absolutely soaked. Anyway, I was talking to some friends of mine the other day, and they were saying about they picked up a citation. So I thought today, because I find when I first came here, I found it quite difficult understanding who was policeman or police officer, who was an office of the law, who could do what and who couldn't do what. So today I thought I'd just encapsulate some of the stuff that I've come across regarding the law. There are various types of uniforms in the Philippines for the Philippine National Police, and there are a highway group patrol. That is another enforcement office agency, they call it, and then there is CTTNO, which are in their own little uniform. And they're out on all street corners. Then there is what is it called? Oh, it's the ones you see. They're in PMP uniform, but they're not part of the highway group patrol. They are like a motorised division of the PMP that ride. They have a PMP uniform, but they have this high vis over the top. But anyway, so when I first came here, I digress slightly. When I first came here, I got a bike and I went off riding. So I got to Digos, and when I got to Digos, I think it was my second or third day, there was a guy in a yellow polo shirt, black trousers, looks like SpongeBob, and on the whistle, blow the whistle, turn around and look, and he waves you over. And I'd actually gone left at a junction. The traffic lights had gone green. However, at the bottom of the traffic light, there was a green arrow wasn't working, and I'd gone through because it had gone red, amber, green, but the green arrow wasn't pointing this way, so I'd actually gone. It transpires that the system was set up to run red, amber, green. Everybody moved, but you sat there, even though the cars behind me were bibbing their horns. And then when I turned around and moved, CTNO pull over, and he turns around and says, "Do you know what you've done?" I might say no, because I don't know what I've done. If I knew what I'd done, I wouldn't have done it, would I, really? Anyway, so he says you've gone through the light when it's not a green arrow. Yeah, but it is green. Yeah, but that's not green for you. That's green for people going straight, and that's for people going green that are going right, not for people that are going left. I'm like, but normally when you get a traffic light, the traffic on the other side comes across the road. Nothing was happening. All that was happening was 2 lanes going this way were going. Anyway, so it was 500 peso for a citation. So they don't ask you for ID, they just write you a citation. Now, there are people out there that turn around and say you can fold up 500 peso note, put it with your on the citation when you're going to sign, and then the citation. It happens. Yeah, it happens. But anyway, I got given the citation in Digos. I had to go down to the town hall, and they do ask you, do you want to pay at the barangay or the taro, or do you want to pay at the LTO, or do you want to pay at the town hall? I normally take town hall. Anyway, so I went into the town hall, and they got all these different places, all these different cashiers and tills, and you have to ask. And in Digos, it's on the right hand side, so you give your citation. They want to know your name and address, and they want to know your driving license number. They check the 500 peso, and then they give you a receipt, and you keep that receipt. Don't just throw it away, keep it. So that was when I first started riding. Since then, I've picked up maybe 10 CTTNO citations all over the Philippines. I've got a couple in Manila. I got one in Vigan. I got one, let's say in Digos. I got one in Jensen. I got one in Batangas. I got one two in Dumaguete. But what you want to turn around and do is you want to pay them, get rid of them, and don't just drive away, because they'll come back at some time. You know, if you're applying for a license and you've got, you know, at the LTO you've got outstanding fines or outstanding citation payments somewhere in the Philippines, they won't give you a full 10-year passport. They'll only give you a 5-year passport, or they might not even give you a a driving license, not a passport. What an idiot, Gary. Have a cup of coffee, get the grey cells working. So you might not be able to qualify for a full driving license. Now, so that's the CTTNO, and you'll see them all over the Philippines in their yellow. And a lot of people say that they're prevalent at the end of the month and the middle of the month when they're running out of money, or there's more on the roads when it comes up to Christmas and Easter, because they need to write. They get incentivized to write citations. Whether you believe that, I don't know. It's what I get told. Yeah, that's why they're always out. Now, the other officers that I turn around and I've come across are the PMP, and they're usually in a blue uniform with a baseball cap, or they got like a peak flat cap, and they're blue. But I'll post you the picture, male and female, do this job, and you need to look out for what they're doing. There's a lot of controversy, okay, with PMP, and lots of stuff online I see. I don't believe it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Okay, so again, I was out on my bike, and I was in Tagum, and I got pulled over at a roadside check, and the police officer asked me for my driving license, and he turned around and he said that I'd actually done something wrong, and he was going to issue me a citation. But he also turned around and said something strange, that he wanted to hold on to my license. Now, they can give you the citation, but the police officers can't turn around and hold your license. only somebody that's authorised by the LTO can actually withhold your licence or take your licence. The only time the police can turn around and take your licence off of you is when there is an accident and somebody's injured or somebody is being killed, then the police or dies. The police can then turn around and take your licence because it becomes part of their investigation. But before that, when he asked me for my licence, there was another guy that was from the LTO who came over to the police officer, and they spoke in Filipino, and the police officer was told that he couldn't take my licence, and the guy from the LTO wouldn't authorise him because they need to issue a TOR, a transcript of record that they've actually taken your licence. But the police officer didn't have that book to give a receipt to me to take my licence, so that I'd actually go to the Tagon police. So if the LTO had said take the licence, then they would have given me a receipt, but they didn't didn't have the book, so they couldn't give me the receipt. All they could give me was a citation. And what actually happened was I was driving along the road and there was a contraflow, and there was a guy doing that stop go, and I followed a lorry with two others, and as we came out of the other side of this contraflow, there was a police checkpoint, and it was police because they were in the blue, and some LTO were in their yellow, and they had their LTO ID around their neck and everything like that. And then they wave you off. Well, they wave you over, so you pull into the. So there was me, somebody else. We'd all got pulled over the same, but they couldn't take the license because they didn't have a TOR receipt book. But that citation, I rode into Tagon, and I went to the bus station. And I paid the citation at the bus station, 500 pesos, got the receipt and rode on. Because I always pay the citations, because what I don't want to do when I'm travelling is go to Tagon and then I'm on my way to Butuan, and I get to Butuan and I've still got this outstanding citation. Because you can't pay the citation in another barangay or another province. You have to pay it in the province it's been issued. That's what I've been told, and that's what I end up doing. So that was the police at a checkpoint with the LTO. Now, when I was riding north of Manila, I was on a highway, and I got pulled over. Well, I didn't get pulled over. I got pulled to one side on a Sunday, and it was all the scooters. And you know there's a road check because about a mile and a half before the road check, you've got all of these scooters pulled over on the right-hand side of the road because they don't have any insurance, they don't have any documentation, they don't have a license, and they're just all waiting there. They're just all waiting there for the roadblock to go. So I rode past, you look at this, and then I pulled up, and then the police officer, and I had a photocopy of my driving license, and I pulled it out. And the girl didn't want a photocopy of my driving licence. Now this police road check was PMP in the blue. She had a nice little cap on, and that was it. And she wanted my original, so I got my original out. And then a police officer turned up, but he was in black and white, like a uniform. So it had black, dark, well, it looked like black. It could be dark blue, but it was very, very dark. But he was a police officer from the car, and the car was like an American cruiser, black and white, with the lights on it, and that was it, had a badge on the side of it. Now, I've never found to this day what that police department is, whether it's part of a special team or what, I don't know what it is. But anyway, they turned around and they gave me gave me a citation because I shouldn't have been on that road. Shouldn't have been on that road because my bike was a 150, and that highway, and it was 2 lanes one way and 2 lanes the other way. Brand new. There was no signage at the start of it, and there was no signage at the end of it. There was no barriers taking tolls or anything like that. I just drove onto it, coming down through San Francisco. I drove through all this countryside. I put it in my vlog earlier, about 3 years ago. Beautiful countryside, absolutely stunning countryside. But halfway down this road, about 6 kilometres, there was this police PMP. And that was it. And they checked my license, gave me my license back. They didn't ask for it. They gave me a citation. I had to go to the local office in San Francisco, just north of Manila. I went to the town hall. I went to the town hall office and I paid the citation. Okay. I could have gone. They did turn around and say I could have gone to the barangay, which was down the road, and turned right. I think they were asking me to leave the highway. I had about 10 kilometres to go on this highway, but I'd already got a citation, and I just drove straight forward. I just went straight. I didn't turn off, didn't go anywhere. I just went. So that was the other one. Now, when I came down through Cotabato, the PMP were on a road check, but they weren't in the blue. And they didn't have the blue with the yellow ivy, and the CTNO weren't in yellow. They were in camouflage. They were in fatigues, what I call fatigues, army. So they were at a checkpoint, dressed as the army, but they were PMP, and they had their PMP badge on their uniform. They pulled me over because they wanted to know what a white guy was doing riding alone, going into Cotabato. And there were 4 roads together, and there was a roundabout in the middle, a little island in the middle, and they were all standing there, and they waved me over, and I came up, they pulled me over one side, and then they come and spoke to me. Now, they turned around and they didn't give me a citation. What they gave me is they gave me what do they call it? They gave me a permit and a pass to get through to the next checkpoint. So I had to ride straight, and you've got to understand that it is a high risk area and it's a war zone still. And when I got to the next checkpoint, the army asked me there, or the PMB with their fatigues asked me, they pulled me over, did I have a piece of paper to turn around and say, I've been to the checkpoint? So I brought out the paperwork, I did the check and everything like that, and then I moved on. So I did 4 of those when I came down, before I got to Cotabato, these roadside checks. And on the last one, then the guy turned around and said that I had to make a payment of 500 peso. I didn't get a receipt, I didn't get a payment of 500. So I don't know what that was about, but I don't ask the reason why, I just turn around and do it. But that was at the porter cabin on the side of the road, and in front of them there was another checkpoint I had to go through, which was PMP, and they were actually in their uniform. So there was this army process I went through. Then I went to this final checkpoint, and they all went back into their blue uniform. And there was an LTO guy there checking my paperwork. He checked my license, he checked my OCRI, and he checked my address where I was going back, because I was coming back to Davao. So that's another uniform that was new to me. But you pay it, you do what you got to do. You know, I'm not going to argue with somebody that's sitting there with a automatic rifle, or 3 or 4 of them with automatic rifles. I don't do any of that. Now the other one I've come across is in Manila. So citation in Manila is totally different. Well, it's supposed to be the same, But every time I always get myself into trouble in Manila. You're coming along a 2-lane or a 3-way highway, and all of a sudden there will be these plastic bollards in the middle of the road. Okay, and there's supposed to be road signs above to turn around and say what road you're going to get into, what lane you need to get into. So left will take you that way into the city, or into Sigig or BCG or Makati or whatever. And then the right-hand lane will turn around and take you to another part of Manila, and the other middle lane will take you straight on. Normally, when you get to 4 lanes, which is what happened to me in Manila, I pulled over onto the inside lane to ask directions, and I got pulled over by a woman that was in a dark blue shirt, dark blue pants with a high vis, waving a flag at me, and she turned around and said I had to follow her. So she walked around the corner, I followed her on my scooter around the corner, and there was a station, a police station, in like one of these little boxes, like these little pop-ups, and he turned around and said, you need to pay the fine. Nothing about citation, nothing about documentation, nothing about that. It was a fine because I was in the wrong lane. And I explained to the lady that I don't know which lane I need to take, and she said, well, you shouldn't be in this lane. Well, how do I know that? And again, yeah, you're checking the road, and there's these overhead gantries that have these signs which way you should turn around and go. I pulled over. Now I can't pull over to the outside lane, I can't stop in the middle lane, because there's these plastic bollards, and they guide you which way you go. So if you're going along, you've got plastic bollard, it takes you that way. You've got plastic bollard, it will take you over there. Take a plastic bollard, it will take you over there. Take your plastic bollard, it will take you to the right. So I've got 4 routes I can take because I'm going to Batangas. So I pull over. Anyway, that fine was 1,000 pesos. So the police officer turned around and said to me, 1,000 pesos. And I turned and said, where have I got to pay it? Town hall. Where's the town hall? The arm just points over there. I said, well, I don't know the area. Can you turn around and tell me? How do I get that way? Well, you have to go down this road to the next junction, come off at that junction, come round, and then come back. You're not allowed to do a U-turn, and then come back, and then go straight. So I turned around, got the citation, went down the road, under the flyover, and under the flyover, it ain't my day today when I'm doing this. The road that takes me back is closed. So I end up going going left. So I ride a left to the next junction, turn left, come back to the road that I was originally on, going that way, turn left to come this way, come this way, turn right. As I turn right, yeah, you're not going to believe this. As I turn right to go, the same woman is waving a flag at me. So I pull over, and they want to give me another citation, or they want to give me another fine for being in the wrong lane. And I turned around and said, that man over there told me I had to go here. She said, you had to go down there, turn around and come back up. You're not allowed to come up here and turn right. Where does it say that? And I was livid. Within the space of 20 metres and a flyover, I picked up 2,000 pesos worth of fines. 2,000 pesos. And wrote me another citation. So I was livid now. Steam coming out my ears, horns on my head. I don't know who this woman was, but yeah. Calm down, Gary. Anyway. So I had to go straight, turn right in the next junction, then turn right to come back to meet that road. So I did that, come back into this road, then went left. There was a big flyover that way, a big flyover this way, and then all these junctions were underneath. So I turned left, rode up the road. There was a CTNO guy in the middle of the road. I pulled up. I said, I'm looking for the town hall. Lo and behold, it's directly opposite where I am. The guy said, go that way. I said, am I allowed to go? No, no. He goes, so he walked me through the centre reservation on the bike, across the road that was going south, into the town hall. I walked into the town hall. I went in and looking for the nice, great, lovely town hall, beautiful town hall, lovely payments booth. Went up to the payments booth, handed in the 2 citations, and the woman's looking at me, and I'm just go. So she asked me to wait. They call over another officer, and the LTO man in the town hall that signs the paperwork came over, and he turned around and said, I said, I picked up this one because I was asking which way I needed to go. I was told I was in the wrong lane. Okay, I was told to go left, go right, next junction, turn around, come back the other way, but the road's closed. He said, yeah, they're doing roadworks, whatever they were. So I rode over, I came back, and come back the other way. And as I came back, he goes, but you've got the same person has signed the citation. I said, yeah. I said, is that right or wrong? So he looked at me, he said, only one. Voided the other one, put a stamp on it and gave it back to me. And turned around and said, there's a payment made on the first one. I got on the bike, I rode down back to the junction. I never found out if that woman at that junction was waving people down to turn around and get people to make a payment, to get out and be given a citation. Never found that out, never knew, but I won't be going back to that part, Manila, because it's unlucky for me on a scooter. Yeah, it's unlucky for me when I'm riding. I couldn't believe it, and I turned around and told my American friend that I picked up 2 citations when we met up at Batangas. He couldn't believe it either. He'd ridden all that way, got nothing. I'd ridden all that way, got 2 citations in 20 metres, at the same junction. So safety is a bit of an issue, great, but things just happen, and you just have to go with the flow. Just go with the flow. And then the other one was, I was in Manila again. I just left the Manila hotel, and I was riding the way I thought I should have been riding. And I got to this complex of supermarkets and beach stuff and everything like that. Anyway, I shouldn't have been there. I got waved over by a police officer who had one of those little Toyotas where they all sit in the back having their little party. And they turned around and they wanted to give me a citation, and they found out I was new to the area. That didn't happen. I turned around and I said, well, I'm looking to get back, and they go, whoa. So they said, follow him. So I followed him for about 4 kilometres to get out of this area. I was in Manila. No signs, no nothing, no road signs, no white lines, no yellow lines, no nothing in this area. And it was, you had to know what you were doing when you went into this area. But I didn't get a citation, and I didn't have to go down to the town hall or the LTO or down to the local barangay. But they're going back to what we started on this. These are the things that caused me issues over the last 8 years. They're not big issues, but you have to ask the questions. And the reason I'm doing the vlog today is because there was a vlog come out yesterday about in Mindanao, around this area, that the police checks on the side of the road. There is a new thing going on where they wave you down and you pull up to be checked. While you're doing your paperwork, the other police officer is checking your back of your box and stuff like that, your top box and your seat, under seat cover and stuff like that, or in the back of your car or the back of the SUV or whatever it is. And then you get waved on, you turn around and you get back on your bike or back in your car and you drive on. And about 5 kilometres up the road, there's another check. And when they turn around and they pull you over, do another check, and you go through, they turn around, all of a sudden they find illicit substances in your possession on your bike. Well, that's never happened to me anywhere in the Philippines. So I think that online video is more chica to get people to watch his channel or her channel. You always end up with 4 or 5 police officers at a check, an LTO that can take your license, a police officer that can turn around and give you a citation for the violation for a traffic offence, or your bike is not roadworthy, so they can impound it. LTO can't impound your bike, but the police can, and then they can call a truck to put it on the back and doing the check. Or you're contravening a military zone, and the military would enter and call the police, and you have to wait while the police come to that area, and then check, and then either do 2 things: let you go, or they turn around and impound your bike and give you a fine. Now, the strange ones I've had are when I've been in Manila about EDSA, EDSA, and people give you directions and point to these slip roads. These slip roads go on to EDSA. Do not go on to EDSA if you're under 600 cc's on your bike. Cars, vans, great, no problem. But if you're on a bike, do not. Okay. The person that is checking at the entrance point is usually sitting in a little wooden hut. He's not a policeman. He's not a CTTNO. He's a security guard to turn around and make sure the right people go onto the slip road. But he can't stop people when they're doing 50, 60, 70, 80 kilometres an hour joining. So people end up getting on the motorway, and then they come up to the barrier where it's an automatic toll, and they're not allowed through, so they have to turn around, ride back the way they came on the hard shoulder, and he's waiting there to turn around and call the police. The police turn up, they then turn around and give you a citation, and then they escort you off the slip road of the EDSA. So be wary of that one. But citations, places you can pay them, land transport office, bus station, bus depots, there's normally a payment section there. Town hall, invariably, your barangay, you can pay for it. Now, the other thing, the last one on the list is speeding. There are cameras on the road, and there are cameras here on Diversion Road, but I've never found anybody that's broken the speed limit, had a picture taken, and then received a fine through the post. It's not that technologically advanced here to do that. What you will find is you'll find police officers with a speed gun on the side of the road, and they'll pull you over, give you a citation, broke the law. You're supposed to be doing 50, especially up on the coastal road at the moment. There's lots of people going up there on the coastal road. When the rest of the coastal road opens, that will be a speed trap zone. All of it will be police officers up there with their radar gun. And it's not like you get back in the UK or Europe, you can ask for calibration. You just get told you broke the law, you broke the speed limit. You're supposed to be doing 40, you're doing 60. Or 65 or 68 or 70, there's a citation, 500 peso, go down, pay it. I've never seen a citation at 1,000 peso, apart from the one I've just told you about that happened in a city in Manila. Manila is a big area, and it's got massive cities. In that Manila area, there was one city that if I ever ride up there, I will make a detour out of that area. I don't care if it takes me 2 or 3 hours, detour out of that area, because the roads and the network and what goes on up there, in my opinion, ain't right. I try to follow the law and I get 2,000 peso. Okay, I only paid one, but that was because there was a guy behind the counter who couldn't believe that I'd actually picked up 2 citations in the same spot on the same person in under 30 minutes. Crazy, crazy. When they pull you over and they do a bike check here, it's normally looking for your exhaust. Is it a normal exhaust? That it's not too loud? Have you got headlights? Have you got registration? Is your registration number, your number plate, matching your OCRI or OCR? Do you have insurance, third-party insurance, because you've registered, you've done emissions on your bike? A lot of people don't do that. They just get on the bike and they ride it and ride it and ride it. And if there's a check, so if you go down here on JP L'Oreal, just past the Breezer on a Sunday, before the road goes up towards Milan or goes down right towards Davao, under that flyover every Sunday, there's a police roadblock with the LTO. And I see a lorry down there, and it's got maybe, every Sunday, it's got maybe 15, 20 bikes on the back of it, because they're not registered, exhaust isn't correct, or the bike's not roadworthy. Or people don't have insurance, they don't have a license. That's a huge one here. People believe that, well, I can ride, I don't need to get a license. Well, it's the way of the world, really, isn't it? Anyway, so that's citations. Yeah, I was going to ride this morning and go out, but poured down with rain until 1 o'clock. So no point me going out at 1 o'clock, because by the time I'm coming back into Davao, it's 4 or 5 o'clock and it's getting dark, and that turns around and causes me problems. So with my vision, seeing things in the road, everybody likes to wear black and everybody likes to be in like camo, but anyway, not to worry. Like, share, subscribe, and hopefully you find this interesting, guys. It's I started riding here in 18 and 19. I still ride, but not as much. But the bike is ready to go and do a ride and go and do a journey, and I will do that journey. Anyway, Davao, safest city in the world. It's a bit wet today.